what's up? The truth is, everybody wants to have good tasting chicken at their barbecue. They don't set out initially to make something that's dry and tough, they just don't know how to do it. So today, I'm gonna show you 2 bulletproof ways to make great tasting chicken on the grill. One with the breast and one with the leg. The first grilled chicken I'm gonna show you is a marinated chicken breast. To get started on that, I'll need 2 pounds or about 1 kilo of boneless, skinless breasts. In America, these would be considered medium sized. They're about 7 to 8 ounces a piece. Now, the first move to make these juicy is to change their form factor. To do that, I'm gonna grab a saucepan and a freezer bag. From there, I'll load 1 breast into the bag at a time, and then I'll use that saucepan to pound it out. I'd say 15 to 20 firm slaps like this should get us where we wanna go. This is about 3/4 of an inch thick now, and it's gonna cook super evenly, super quickly, and stay much more moist than a traditional thick breast would. Once I have all 4 of these breasts pounded out, I'll set them aside so that I can make my marinade / dry brine for this meat. For that, I'll need 15 grams of fresh parsley with most of the stemmy stuff removed. I'll give that a thorough chop to break it down, and I'll mention that this marinade, or brine, however it's classified, is my attempt to level up the Italian dressing grilled chicken that your mom or dad makes every 4th of July. You know, the one with the bottle of wishbone dressing just poured all over store-bought chicken breast. Yeah, that stuff. I'm showing you how to make that, but much better. Chopped parsley goes into the bowl, then I'll grab 3 grams of fresh thyme, again with most of the stemmy stuff removed, and I'll give the thyme a chop just like the parsley. In my mind, there's no other herb better suited to the cause of making chicken meat taste delicious than thyme, dried or fresh. Into the bowl that goes, then I'll squeeze in 5 to 6 large cloves or about 15 grams of garlic on top of that. Behind the garlic, I'll grab 1 large lemon and rip the zest off the outside. I'll be using the juice, but later on. The thing I really love about lemon zest in particular is that it brings the idea of lemon, or like lemon flavoring, to whatever dish it's in, but without the acidity. Behind the zest, I'll add in 100 grams of extra virgin olive oil, 3 grams of dried oregano, 3 to 5 grams of pre-ground black pepper. Fresh cracked is also good, but it's not significantly better. I think cranking 3 to 5 grams of pepper out of a mill takes a long time, and so I'll take the shortcut. I'll finish this up with 2 grams of chili flakes, 15 grams of salt, and 5 grams of sugar. Next, I'll stir everything to combine, and then I'll load in my pounded chicken breast. Then a quick toss to get everything well coated with the marinade on both sides, and make sure that most of the solids in this bowl are stuck to the outside of the meat, not the side of the bowl. And that looks pretty freaking fresh, and it smells amazing. Way better than wishbone, you guys. Now I'll load this into the fridge to let it marinate for 1 hour. More or less time will work fine, but 1 hour I think is the sweet spot. 60 minutes later, the salt in this marinade has tightened up the proteins in the chicken, and that's the mechanism that's going to allow this to hold on to way more of its internal moisture when being cooked. To get these ready for the grill, I'll take them out of the marinade. That's mainly to remove excessive olive oil. That's going to flare up on the grill and burn the meat if we don't remove it. And once these are laid out, it's time to grill. For me, that means a gas grill. But if you're a die-hard charcoal guy or girl, feel free to adjust this process as you see fit. I recently switched to this Weber Spirit grill after about 10 years of charcoal because, to be honest, I just never enjoyed grilling when I use charcoal. It's smoky, it's inconsistent, and it's also kind of hard. It takes a lot of dedication and practice to manipulate coals into something useful to cook with, especially if you're trying to cook a lot of food at once. So if you're a charcoal head, good on you. I respect that for sure, but for me, this little 3-burner gas grill has made cooking outdoors so much more enjoyable. Okay, as far as setup, I've got the leftmost burner on this grill turned to low and my 2 right burners set to high. That way I can rip a hard sear on the first side of the chicken and then flip them over and let them coast on the more gentle heat on the left. For gas or charcoal though, before you cook, you need to season your cooking surface with some oil first. For that, I like to use a ratty old kitchen towel that's been dunked into a generous amount of high smoke point oil like vegetable or canola. Once the grill is all lubed up, I'll lower the lid for just about a minute to get things back up to a ripping hot temp. For me, that's about 450 to 500 F. Once we're there, I'll lay down all 4 of my breasts. I tend to do that on a diagonal, mainly out of reflex from working on a restaurant grill. Diagonals tend to be more aesthetically pleasing, but it truly doesn't matter in terms of cooking, so go random if you want. Once the meat's down, I'm gonna let it grill undisturbed for 4 to 5 minutes on the first side. No touching, no checking, just some nice high heat. I'll lower the lid to maintain the temperature and I'll check back then. 4 to 5 minutes later, when I check back, this chicken is about 80 to 85% of the way cooked. I'll check down on the grill side to see what kind of sear that I got under there, and that looks pretty good. It's dark but not burnt, so I'll flip it over and then I'll get to the other 3. From there, I'll scoot these over to the cooler side of my grill so that they can coast that last 15%. Moving these over to the lower side of the grill gives me a little bit more time to check the temperature before they overcook. That can happen really quickly on the hot side of the grill. Once I'm situated over here, I'll check the internal temperature. I'm looking for 150F or about 65C. The traditional 165F for chicken breast is way too hot in my opinion and likely to carry over to 175 or 180F. That's going to dry them out. 150F is both safe to eat and much juicier. So once I'm there, I'll scoot these over onto a little baby sheet tray and bring them into the house. And wow, to me, that's pretty good looking grilled meat. To finish, I'll move it over to a plate and then drizzle with a touch of the lemon that we zested earlier. That little bit of acid at the end really helps sharpen up this dish, and keeping the lemon out of the marinade really helps preserve its fresh flavor. And check this out, that's a juicy breast, you guys. It's herby, bright, and perfectly seasoned, and tastes like chicken. It's perfect for a barbecue, and I really hope you try it. Next, I'm gonna show you how to make my all-time favorite childhood grilled chicken. That's barbecue chicken drumsticks. But before I do that, I need to thank Seed for sponsoring this vid. Seed's Daily Synbiotic is a 24-strain pre- and probiotic that supports systems beyond digestion, like gut, immune function, skin, and heart. If you didn't know, Lauren and I are both passionate about gut health, and that's not a joke, actually. Before Seed contacted me for this sponsorship, we actually had already done the research and ordered their Daily Synbiotic for a couple of reasons. One, the probiotic strains that they use are clinically and scientifically studied with a lot of data backing them up. Number 2 is that they use what's called a 2-in-1 ViaCap delivery technology. So basically that's a capsule within a capsule that protects what's inside of it from your stomach acid. So the live probiotic culture actually makes it to the end of your small intestine where it can get to work. They package everything in this refillable glass jar and ship it in this recyclable, compostable packaging. Can you eat this packaging? It kind of looks like it, but I mean, I wouldn't, but it looks like it. So if you want to try Seed, use the link in my description below and use code Brine at checkout for 15% off your first month's supply of Seed's Daily Synbiotic. That's 15% off. Your bowels will thank you, and I'll thank Seed for sponsoring this video. This time I'm going to start with 2 pounds of chicken meat, but I'm going to be using bone-in, skin-on chicken drumsticks. The thing that I really love about drumsticks, especially other than their flavor, is that they're finger food, just like corn on the cob. They're perfect to eat while sitting in a weird bagged outdoor chair while waiting for fireworks to start. To get these ready to grill, I'll set them aside and then grab a medium bowl, and into that add 5 grams of chili powder, 3 grams of black pepper, 3 grams of garlic powder, 3 grams of onion powder, and 10 grams of salt. In goes the drums, and then I'll toss everything to coat. Just like for the breasts, I'm going to give these drumsticks 1 hour to dry brine in the fridge. That hour in the salt is going to make the skin a lot firmer and easier to render on the grill. While those brine, I'm going to make Uncle B-Man's signature onion barbecue sauce. To make that, I'll grab a saucepan, a small red onion that I've halved, and a box grater. I'll use the box to grate this onion down real quick. In total, I need about 100 grams of that. Grating it allows it to melt into the barbecue sauce a lot easier than just dicing it would. But I'll warn you that grating it is really rugged on your eyeballs, because pretty much 100% of the PSO that makes you cry is released when you grate it. Once I've got all 100 grams of that onion in the pot, I'll add in 4 minced garlic cloves, a little squeezer of oil, and a strong pinch of salt. From here, I'll move the pan over to the stove and sweat these aromatics together for about 4 to 5 minutes, or until they've released all of their moisture and they're starting to take on some color like this. From there, I'll add in 250 grams of ketchup, 30 grams of wort, 20 grams of cider vinegar, 100 grams of molasses, 20 grams of hot sauce, 20 grams of yellow mustard, 5 grams of chili powder, and as much chili flakes as you like. I'm using 2 grams. I'll bring that all up to a simmer, stir it to combine, and then I'll cook it on low heat for about 15 minutes or so, or until it's reduced by about 25% and the onions are 100% tender. And that looks good. The flavor of this sauce is savory from the onion and garlic, but it's also dark, spicy, and kind of sweet. I basically combined St. Louis and Kansas City styles, if you know what those are. Yum. After 1 hour of brining in the fridge, these drumsticks are all ready for the grill. As far as grill setup goes, once the whole thing's been preheated over high, I'll turn down the left 2 burners to medium-ish. Let's call it 6 out of 10 hot. The right side's still on full blast, and this combo is going to turn the grill into more of a hot oven than a sear station. Of course, I'll oil it up just like before, and once it's ready, I'll drop on my drumsticks. This first part of the cooking process is focused on rendering the fat out of the chicken skin and cooking the chicken through. These drums are a lot thicker than the breasts that we cooked earlier, so they're going to need quite a bit more time. I'll lower the lid and cook these over that medium-high heat for about 6 to 8 minutes. 6 to 8 minutes later, I'll come back and check on the meat to see how it's doing. As you can see, the bottom side is mostly rendered, and I know that because the skin is tightened up a little bit and there's starting to be a little bit of color from the direct heat. So I'll flip these over and move them around if need be to make sure they're receiving even heat. Then the lid goes down and I'll check back in another 6 to 8 minutes. When I come back, these drumsticks have been really well rendered and are fully cooked to the bone. Check out the skin. It's tightened and very thin. That's going to be an absolute pleasure to eat. Now, let's make these into barbecue drumsticks. For that, I'll grab my sauce and a brush and I'll hit the first side liberally with that sauce. I want to basically create a lacquer with this stuff on the sticks so that as it evaporates in this heat, it glazes up and gets nicely attached to the meat, almost sticky. I'll cover the rest of side 1 on these sticks and then I'll carefully flip them over and glaze up side 2. Once these are well covered with sauce on both sides, I'm going to lower the lid and cook them for another 1 to 2 minutes to let that sauce get nice and reduced. Oh, and if I haven't mentioned it, 7 drumsticks is only enough for like 2 hungry people. So scale this recipe as large as you want. It's perfect for a crowd. And after 18 to 20 minutes on this grill, these things are looking, well, you can see that. They look sick as hell. Now I'm going to take them off the grill and bring them inside for a closer look. In my opinion, this is a perfectly grilled piece of dark meat. The meat itself is super tender and almost pull apart thanks to proper rendering on the grill. And it's just so juicy and sweet and charred. And for me, it's summertime defined. Whether you choose to go with breast meat or leg meat, I hope you feel better equipped to hit the grill with a pan of raw chicken this summer. And I really hope you try these recipes soon. Let's eat this thing.